Welcome to Expansivo 2020. It's a pleasure having you today. And as of this Friday, we're very excited to have you with us. We have transformed our event into a digital format. We have transformed it based on the situation with the virus, but this allows us the opportunity to even reach more people around and be able to really transcend. So, welcome to our event. We hope you enjoy it and have a great event. And from the Visual K and the Infor family, we hope you're all safe, keeping safe, taking the necessary precautions so we can beat this virus. And as the challenges evolve in our day to day, we also are evolving. So we're able to bring you this content and we're also able to bring our services to you digitally. So thanks for your time today. We're very excited to be here. I want to thank Infor, who is our main sponsor, our main partner in everything that we do. Infor provides the software that we are going to be using, the intelligence behind it that we provide to you, and they trust us to be able to bring that. So we thank Infor, and we thank you today for being and spending time. Today we're going to talk with Angel Torres. I think most of you know them, and for the ones who don't know me, my name is Rene. I'm the CEO of Visual K, and I'm very excited to be here today and share with you some updates of what we are, what we've been, and where we're going, and some really cool stuff about EAM and M4. So for those who are new to our Visual K family, we've been around for about 20 years, and we continue to grow and expand. Our EAM practice continues to really take us to the next level. It's really exciting, all the things that are happening. And so we've grown in different areas, in different countries. We have customers in LATAM, Caribbean, and US. And this event is usually attended folks from over 14 countries. We have attendees in different areas. And also, we've been doing this for 10 years. So thanks for your support. We continue to drive forward and bring these events to you. On previous events, we have them in presence, so everybody gather up in Antigua, Guatemala. It's a beautiful city. It's a place where it has a lot of magic to it. This is a five-star hotel that was made on what it used to be a monastery, and we exchanged. Some of the formats were some presentations. Other formats were workshops and hands-on training. One of the cool things that we always enjoy is the ability to network. And some of the comments from our customers is that the content was really great, they enjoyed it, but they really learned a lot and they took away a lot from the other customers with those exchanges. So in order to continue that, we have created some LinkedIn groups where we are all able to share. So if you want to join, just send us an email or look us up in LinkedIn, and we'll be glad to join us to one of our LinkedIn groups there by industry. During these events, we also have a lot of fun. We have some international dancers show up on the stage, and also during our night events, we have even projected Infor over some churches in Antigua where we're having all sorts of gatherings and fun. So thank you guys for all the times and the good memories that we have from previous events. So how's our agenda looking for today? So we're going to have the initial opening from Visual K and Infor this morning. And then after that, we're going to take a break. And then we're going to talk about AI. Rick Ryder is going to talk about basically everything that's related to artificial intelligence and Infor Coleman. Then we're going to talk about Burst. We have Richard and Sharon talking to us. And then we're going to talk about OpenCat. We got Giuseppe Del Monte from Italy. He's doing good, thank God. And he's going to be talking to us about that specifically. And then we're going to have Kevin talk about the EAM roadmap. We're going to talk about security with Tenable, then non-conformities, then our break, and then a few more talks about safety hazards and case management. So hope you guys really enjoy. If you have any questions during the webinar, just put them in the chat box over there, and then we'll take care of them. We'll read them through, and if there's anything that we're missing, we'll send an email afterwards, okay? So talking about some of the great things that we have in mind, Volker LaFrance, who's basically the VP and GM for Info Latam, is going to be talking to us about a really good news that we have about Koch Industries investing in Infor. So they acquired 100% of Infor, and at this point, Volker is going to share with us later on, what does that mean? That's really good news for all of our customers, because a company that's seeing the Industrial Revolution 4.0, meaning the ability to go beyond what's, the normal brick and mortar, going more digital based, has fully invested in Infor, and that's really good news for all of our customers, Infor employees, and Visual K as well. So we're going to be hearing from Volker later on. And then today we also have Kevin Price, who's Infor EAM evangelist. He's going to be talking about some of the highlights in 11.5, and also talking about that is going to be really cool, because we're going to be able to see some of the things that are happening with the product. As EAM is one of the product rock stars in Infor's portfolio, one of the cool things is that they're doing a lot of modifications and updates to make the software easy to use. One of the cool things that we see is a lot of customers are using the mobile application more and more. So they have taken that into the next level. So in 11.5, they're doing a lot of good things with the mobile. You're going to be able to see where it's going, how the screens are changing, because most of our customers now spend a lot of their time on the mobile application of EAM. That's really becoming more of a key-centric application in how EAM is used. And Infor has noticed that, and then they're continuing to move that forward as you're going to be able to see today. So thanks, Kevin, for that. I think one of the cool things that we get to do in our job is really get to know different type of companies all over the place. We get to travel and understand the visions. We want to share some interesting cases. We cannot share all the cases, and we apologize, we're not able to talk about all of our customers, but we want to show you some of the highlights of some interesting things that you might want to know. So the Novo Energy, it's in Trinidad and Tobago. This is a company that, just by the name, it means refresh, anew, kind of a fresh start. And when they embarked on this, creating this natural gas company, they really had a vision for it. It was going to be a cloud native company. It's going to be digitally raised and born and expanded. So it's really a pleasure working with them. When we met up with them, and they were looking for an EAM solution, everything had to be cloud, which obviously we can, and then we had to connect to their ERP, which is also cloud-based. And this is, by the way, one of the actual platforms called Iwana, which is pretty cool. And this is, their statement, right? Basically, they embarked on a digital transformation, from the start, going paperless and mobile, right? And that was a strategic decision made by the head of the company. And just to give you an example, we want to talk about the MOC process, meaning management of change. So I don't know if you folks are familiar, but usually in oil and gas, this is critical, right? This is how you determine when you're transferring or doing any sort of process change or moving things from one place to the other. You got to be very careful, because if not, accidents can happen. So MOC becomes a critical process in all of these companies. And what we did in this case, especially working with them, we took management of change, and then we used the full power of EAM, ION, and IDM, which is Info Document Management, and obviously Mingle, to then take that was on paper or PDF, and then make that a live process inside of the system. So as you're able to see here, I can start that process, and then by using EAM and ION, then every time there's a change, an update, or something that needs to be followed, we can make sure that that gets followed through the system, and everybody does their part inside of the system, and it becomes something that's alive, right? And then we can keep track. we can understand, we can have notifications, and it talks to EAM in the case management. So it's one of the cool things to be able to present that, and really cool to be able to move forward with that. Another great customer that we love working and talking about is Jamaica Public Service. We started working with them a few years ago. We have worked with 4 of their thermal and 12 the renewable plants. And after doing a lot of work with them, eventually we ended up doing what's called a maintenance excellence evaluation. So using some of the ISO 55,000 asset management guidelines, we're able to understand and determine, where are they really performing well, and where are things that need to be, managed and improved. And from there on, we determine what's called an asset management strategy, which is called basically a maintenance asset health index. And this allows us to be able to have a full view of the organization from a high level all the way to all the subsystems going down. So that means that I have full visibility of what's going on with all the assets from a high level all the way down to the detail. And we build that on burst. So this is some of the main components that we have in this case. And obviously, the idea is to be able to see, from even and a corporate investment type of folk all the way down to the plant manager and even the operator to be able to see what's going on. So I'm able to determine then a global asset health index, and then I can divide it by all the different components, whether it's a turbine, the generator, transformer. And this is going to basically show by plant, or depending on how I have it set up. And then it's going to also be able to see it by unit. So there's a whole bunch of calculations and things that are going on. And from that process on, you're able to determine, which one of them are. So this calculation gives you an overall health asset index. And it's pretty cool because as you go and click down, then you're able to determine, what are my KPIs by asset condition, inventory compliance, the overhaul, the PMs, the priorities, and the splits, right? So it goes from the high level all the way down to the detail. And then this gives, everybody in the plant the same vision of what we are today. Another great thing we've been doing is we've been investing pretty heavily in creating what's called the PowerGen implementation accelerators. So these are basically part of what we call the Visual K PowerGen. And what we're able to do here is take into account all those different conditions, settings, configurations that go into EAM to make it unique for PowerGen. And then we're able to bring that into a specific format. So as we go ahead and implement, we're taking into account those best practices. And also that gives you the ability that as you go forward, you're able then to not only use the software very quickly because we're able to roll it out and implement real fast, but also that allows you the ability to then when you're up and running, you're able to really configure those KPIs that we already talked about, and they're going to be ready to be used right out of the box. So already gives you the information and the KPIs that you need to run your plant. And then some of the examples that we're working, it's Glen Farm. It's an investment fund out of New York. They acquire a company, natural gas in Colombia, Barranquilla. We've been working with them in a quick rollout. And also in Kia, we have different plants that we've been working with, and we're doing a full rollout of 13 plants right now. So very exciting times and things that we're doing regarding the implementation accelerators. Here's an example. We get a lot of questions from our customers. Hey, where are the different power plants and what's going on there, and how can I see them? One of the cool things here is that we're creating a website where you're able to go in and you can search on the different ones, and then you're able to identify. For example, in this case, we're going to search for Eco. We're going to be able to see Ecoelectrica, which is in Puerto Rico, and then you're able to drill down to the detail. We also have a few other plants that have that same letter combination. So this is something we're working on. Once we have it live, we'll share it with all of you. So now let's talk a little bit, not where we are, but where are we going, right? And some of the questions is, hey, where's the technology headed and what we're looking for? So we want to talk about the industrial, basically, revolution. Okay, so when we go about it, we know that we have the first one, the second, the third, which is basically robotics. And now in Industry 4.0, we have the connectivity. And why? Because we have so many devices out there that are basically bringing information and sharing information to our networks. And then we want to gather that information and really, enhance our operations and our situation as we go along using that information. So that's what Industry 4.0 is. And we're talking about basically systems that are on the cloud. So they're cloud native. So what it means that I don't have to worry about databases. I don't have to worry about operating systems, and I don't have to worry about backups. All that is taken care of. They're full staffs that are really working hard to make sure that that's fully available. They're dedicated, so there are hundreds of engineers working in that. And then also, frees our time to be able to focus on the things that are more important for our business. So also from a security standpoint, that brings a lot of peace of mind. Also, we're talking about AI. So when we talk about artificial intelligence, so we're going to see with Rick today, he's going to show us, it's how is that being really applied on the plant, right? How are we using AI to leverage what we have today, and what does that mean in the future? Also, it all has to be connected in, neural networks and the ability to really have that in a manner that we can use the data, we can transport the data, and we can really integrate everything. So we're talking also about IoT. What is IoT? It's the Internet of Things. So we're talking about all those devices that have an IP address, right? How do we connect to them, right? Obviously being integrated, and then having the analytics to really exploit that information and take it to the next level. So that's basically the fundamentals of Industry 4.0 and what it's based on. So when we look at Industry 4.0 and some of the drivers, what motivates people to go after it, it's really being able to gain that productivity, right, that we're looking for. It's really, we see a lot of new business models popping up here and there. So I need them to be able to model it. If I have a new business model, I need to be really able to put it into my company systems and make sure that everybody's up to speed. And as they get change, then everybody gets notified, and it's inherent in the system, right? Obviously, the ability to connect, and be able to operate smarted. In this case, the ability to really share data globally. And then, as we have with the millennials, and we're seeing with the situation that we have today, it's the ability to have people work where they are, right? It has to be mobile. It has to be really on demand. And then, as we continue to see different, at a quicker pace, evolutions of what the customer requests are. So that really takes into account the ability to be able to move really fast and change how we operate. Some of the roadblocks. So when we're talking about 4.0, what are our main distractors? So in this case, if we have disconnected business systems, that really, it's not going to help us a lot. And then we find that if there's not a vision, right? So we need to have a vision to be able to get there. And like we were talking with that was the vision from the start. In this case specifically, we need to have that vision in order to be able to execute. And then if there's not a roadmap that tells us where we're going to go, then it's pretty hard to know, what's going to be needed and how we're going to execute. And then obviously a strategy behind it. So some of the opportunities that we see in this case is obviously the workforce, right? So we need to really potentiate our talent, right? From a productivity, acquisition, collaboration, utilization, training, and knowledge. This is critical, right, for any industry, and especially if we're talking about, some plants that depend on the decisions of everybody working together. Processes, obviously, as we're talking about different models, different customer experiences, the supply chain, the execution, right? And then we're talking obviously about assets, the maintenance the utilization, the visibility to see how is it operating and is it operating up to par, right? And having that capability of being able to receive that really quickly. And then obviously the ability to deliver, our best products, our best services as we go along. So these are some of the main opportunities that we see when we're talking about Industry Revolution 4.0. Okay. And some of the customers, what are they saying? Well, in this case, we have a testimonial that they're talking about how Coleman AI, Coleman is the name of our artificial intelligence platform, as Rick is going to show later, and how it interacts with EAM, right? And in this case, it's giving them better insights and just, better way to operate the maintenance of the facility. So that's critical, that's important, and that's happening today. And now we're talking also about data lake. So when we're talking about data lake, this is big data, right? This is when we're talking about how we take all that information and then put it in a place that basically is limitless, and then we can continue to grow and then use that data in a very intelligent manner. So moving forward, that is critical, right? And when we're using the data lake, then we're taking that to the next level. So how does this all work together, right? What are the different components and how do they operate, and make sure that we have everything set up to be able to take advantage of that Industry 4.0. So first of all, we start with the Infor OS. That's our platform, right? With that gives you the ability to have that integration, that extensibility, right? And even the social collaboration, right? And that's where I connect my IoT devices, and that's where my AI resides. And then on top of that, then I will have my different applications, right? In this case, it could be a cloud suite. So we can have a full cloud suite, for example, the cloud suite facilities management, or it could be EAM. In this case specifically, you can have it as a standalone as well. And then you can connect that to basically different type of networks. Like we have in this case, for example, for Nexus, was able to take it to the next level and different applications. And then on top of that, we put our business intelligence layer. So then you can really explore the data, define the KPIs, the dashboards, and all the different indicators that you want to be able to make sure that they are followed through. So how it all works. We got the data sources that they could be from a barcode, from an IoT device, they could be from anywhere around. And then that gets put into Infor OS, which then basically gets processed in the cloud suite and then the analytics. And that's delivering basically a continuous process, right? So as I am gathering data and getting them processed, then at the end, I'm going to be able to see, what are my operations looking like, how are my services, and this becomes basically a continuous improvement cycle, which is pretty cool. IoT and the cloud, a lot of people ask about IoT. They're thinking about, predictive maintenance, different type of applications and how it works. Rick is going to talk a little bit about it. But for example, let's give an example that we have a pump that's overheating. Then with an IoT sensor, it's going to basically send that over to our cloud, which is then going to get processed, analyzed, depending on the rules that we have. And then basically it's going to generate a work order to take care of it automatically. And then it's going to also be able to determine what are my KPIs, right? And my analytics and predictions. So I can use that to then improve my systems going forward. All that is available today from Infor. That's going to lead then to the ability to have workforce optimization. So we can talk about different softwares that are going to help us, HCM, human capital management, and the ability to really utilize our talent. There's a lot of information of the talent that's also in EAM that you're able to utilize. Obviously, process optimizations. You can model processes. We're going to talk about some of the cloud suites, and Volker is going to talk a little bit about what they are. One of the cool things about the cloud suites is that they come already with the implementation accelerators, which is data and configuration, but it also talks about processes. So when we're talking about processes, I'm able to then take that to the next level because I can change those processes and save them and then compare them to which one is more optimal to what I want to be able to achieve. And in this case, we're using Coal Mine AI as well. And then obviously we're talking about asset optimization, the ability to improve plant productivity, right? So not only that, also prescriptive maintenance as well. And last but not least, the customer experience, right? How are we able to really customize that experience to make it really unique and add value to it? So from an industry 4.0, that's some of the main things that we want to talk about. And then as you move forward, some of the examples, right? When this is applied, I don't know if you folks are familiar with Flint Hills, but they rolled out EAM, and as they did, they identified the potential of saving up to $10 million in just inventory. But when we're talking about processes and have this apply, then they have over 50 million of potential contribution from different processes that they're looking at. So this is real value when you apply these principles and you apply these tools together. So what are the next steps, folks? In this case, basically, we're more than glad to discuss, sit down with you folks, understand what's going on, understand, how are you managing your assets, your people, your processes, and then we can talk about, how technology can help you get there, right? In this case specifically, we can help you create a roadmap, and then once we have a roadmap, we can help you create a workshop that helps you understand how it all ties in together and basically allows you to use that Industry 4.0 to your advantage. So folks, this is our introduction today from Visual K. Appreciate it very much. Any questions, comments, let us know in the chat box. And then we're going to continue with Volker LaFrance. He is Infor VP and GM for Infor LATAM, and we're very excited to have him today sharing with us some of his vision. Volker, welcome today to the event.